This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, you're all set.
Okay, welcome everyone, and Happy New Year. Hardly seems possible. 2021 went pretty fast. So we actually have two meetings tonight. The first one is the organizational meeting, and then we'll close that, and then at 6 o'clock we'll start our regular board meeting. Okay. For those that are not identified, just make sure your names are up, please. All right. I know we do have a person in the boardroom waiting to get on. I'll give them one more minute. Okay, Heidi, do you see Toby on yet?
No.
Okay. Okay, I am calling the organizational meeting to order. It is January 13th of 2022, Thursday at 5:34 p.m. Again, welcome everybody and Happy New Year. The first item on the agenda is the dates of elected officials that are sworn in. For the record, elected officials can choose when and how they want to get sworn in, as long as it's in a 30-day window. So for the record, the list of 7 elected officials occurred, and I'll just go through them briefly. And the dates are when we all got sworn in. It was our choice on how and when and where it was done. So Town Supervisor Mary Ann Ashley, I was sworn in on 12/22 of 21. Town Council Member James T. Smith was sworn in on 12/17/21. Town Council Member Robert T. Santamore was sworn in on 12/10/21. Town Council Member John S. Tayo on 12/27/21. Town Clerk Heidi L. Smith was sworn in on 12/27/21. Town Justice Michael R. Morgan was sworn in on 12/27/21. And Town Highway Superintendent Stephen J. Smith was sworn in on 12/27/21. So congratulations, everybody, and again, welcome. The next item on the agenda is supervisor appointments. I am again appointing Bob Washoe as deputy supervisor. Bob, you've been doing this this would be your 5th year coming, and thank you for accepting the appointment again. Appreciate it. And for the record, the deputy supervisor has additional duties above and beyond committee assignments, and that is assisting with verification of payroll, stepping in when the supervisor is not available. So again, thank you, Bob Washoe, for agreeing to serve. I appreciate your service.
Thank you for the opportunity.
The next appointment is appointment of Linda Casserly as historian. Linda's been with us quite a while, and so we are reappointing her. And thank you, Linda, for your service, and we're looking forward to working with you in 2022 again. Appreciate it. Fire wardens. We have to have fire wardens appointed. Michael McQuaid is our code enforcement officer, so I'm appointing him as one fire warden, and Eric Johnson in Pirates as the second fire warden. Each village has their own fire wardens, but they all work together. And this is when, people need fire permits or just general questions about burn permits and anything else that has to do with what people need to do as far as applying for those. So I appreciate Michael McQuaid, our code enforcement officer, for agreeing to serve in that capacity. And Eric Johnson, he's been doing it for a couple of years, so we appreciate his service as well. Board committee assignments. Heidi, I'm going to have you pull that up, please. Thank you. So each year, the supervisor appoints board members to committees. Being a town council person is not a once a month meeting. There's quite a bit of work, as many of you know. So before I go through the committee assignments, I just want to, for the record, talk about the purpose and the role of committees. It's advisory only to provide support to departments, to facilitate communication between departments and the town board, to bring recommendations to the full board for consideration. Assignments to the citizen committees is for the purpose of being the liaison between the citizen committee and the town board. And as I mentioned earlier, the deputy supervisor also has additional responsibilities. So the flow should go like this. Committee reports are done at each monthly meeting. If the committees are making recommendations, the proposals need to be emailed to the full board prior to the monthly board meeting and request the item to be put on the agenda. It's kind of difficult having recommendations and then we take action on those recommendations. So I'm going to be really kind of a stickler that, the communication is prior and that board members can request that they be put on the agenda so the full board can have consideration and input to the recommendation if needed. So here are the committees. Actually, Heidi, did Toby get in? Can you please check that?
Yes, Marianne, I'm here.
Okay, great. All right, thanks, Toby. Okay, so audit committee. The purpose of this committee is to come in and review the finances of the town and the bills for monthly payment. So Santamore and Smith will do the odd months and Tayo and Washoe will do the even months. Broadband, John Tayo, that's a shared committee. So he'll be on the broadband committee. Municipal Building Committee, Ashley and Washoe. Code Planning and Solar, Smith and Washoe. Economic Development, Santamore and Tayo. The BOA, that's part of the economic development, and that grant is going to be ending soon as well. So it'll just go back to economic development. Highway, Smith and Washoe. Insurance, Ashley Smith. Justice, Santamore and Tayo. Negotiations, Ashley Smith. Policy, Ashley Smith. Recreation, Ashley Tayo. Shared Services, Ashley Washoe. Sustainability Committee, Santamore. Technology Communications, Santamore and Tayo. Trails, Complete Streets, Washoe. Waterfront Advisory, Santamore. So each one of us as equal board members are on 6 committees. So that worked out pretty well. And committees have already been meeting. And it's only January 13th. So, okay, Heidi, you can take that back down. Thank you. Board appointments. The first item is the Canton Capital Resource Corporation Board of Directors appointment. And Toby is the president. And Toby, would you like to introduce your recommendation?
Sure. Thank you, Marianne. We have had a vacancy on the board for several months due to resignation. And we've been able to appoint Rob Liggio, who many of you may know in his affiliation with North Country Savings Bank. Rob is a property owner on Judson Street in the town of Canton. And we're happy to have his financial expertise joining our board. We will be meeting sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks to organize ourselves for the coming year. And we're very glad to be back up to full speed. Thanks for the opportunity, Marianne.
Okay, thank you, Toby. So this is a recommendation from the current Board of Directors of the CCRC. It is the town board's responsibility to make the appointment. So for the record, Robert Liggio, and he lives at 380 Judson Street Road. So I am making the motion that we appoint Robert Liggio to the CCRC. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bob Washoe. Any further comments or questions from the board?
No, but maybe Toby will just mention the other board members for folks that are new.
Okay, Toby, do you want to do that?
Sure. We have Brian Gardam, John Gray, and I just drew a blank.
Lyndon Allen.
Lyndon.
Lyndon Allen, right. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. And then now Rob Liggio.
And all the information about the CCRC is on the website, on the very bottom of the website. So people can go in there and actually read the history of what it's about. You can read the audits, the minutes, and that type of thing. So we really appreciate everyone serving on that board. And we don't know what the future is going to hold as far as projects, for sure. So, okay, so I'm going to take a vote. If everybody can unmute. Board, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Toby, if you want to get a hold of Robbie, I call him Robbie, Robert, and then we'll go from there. Okay, marriage officer appointments. Heidi is interested in being a marriage officer for her term. And I'm also interested in being the marriage officer, a marriage officer. The board had approved the town clerk in this capacity before and approved me as well. It's a positive thing. And so why don't we do those together? If someone would like to make a motion to these two appointments.
I'll motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second motion, I'm sorry, I just got distracted. Bob Sanamore motion, John Tyo second. Any questions, concerns, or thoughts? So the motion is to appoint Heidi Smith and Mary Ann Ashley as marriage officers. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Carried. Thank you. Rules of procedure. We need to set the dates, time, and place for our regular board meetings. We have for a couple years held them on the second Thursday of the month and at 6 p.m. So I'm making a motion that we continue that practice.
Can we discuss that a bit?
Well, I made a motion, so I need a second and then we can discuss. Is there a second?
Sure, second.
Okay, open up for discussion.
Well, I was hoping we could visit the possibility of moving it to a different night. I don't know if there's anyone else on the board or Heidi or anybody that would like to visit that or not, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Do you have a night in mind, Don?
Anything other than Thursday.
Well, they used to be on Wednesday nights and we needed to change that because of COVID and the space downstairs that needed to be cleaned when we were meeting in person. So I'll throw that out there. It's beneficial to have it also on Thursday nights to give us time to do the bills, get them down to gray and gray, make sure everything's in order for audit. So,
I guess, is one day going to make a big difference? And to me, it doesn't. You know, I'm okay with moving it to Wednesday.
I guess I would defer to Heidi and Mary Ann since it's really on them to prep everything for the meeting. So I'd like to hear what, I heard Mary Ann. Heidi, do you have an opinion on it?
So I looked at my schedule and actually moving it to a different day than Thursday would work better for me as well. Any day is fine.
Well, I mean, any day sounds easy, but a
So
Monday,
maybe like Tuesday or a Wednesday would be good.
I mean, based on past experience, I said the only real options we have are Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, because Mondays and Tuesdays get into problems with the timing of the bills and whatnot. So I personally don't have a problem with Wednesdays, but I would not go to Tuesday or Monday.
Wednesday works for me.
Wednesday would work better for me.
I guess I would motion to move it to Wednesday instead of Thursday.
Well, I have to withdraw my motion, Bob. So, because we had a motion and a second on that, so. So for the record, my opinion is I would prefer Thursday. It does give us a lot more time. We'll hustle to do whatever it takes to get done. But if it does become a problem, I am going to come back to the board to move it to Thursday. So I can support.
Can I just ask a question? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I can support moving it to Wednesday. So I will withdraw my motion. Bob?
I guess I have a question. I see Mike has his hands up. I was just curious, when court goes back in session, what days are they going to be using the courtroom?
We use the court on Wednesdays.
Right.
Typically, we are done well before 6 o'clock when you have your board meetings. But there's a potential that we wouldn't be. And Mary Ann mentioned about cleaning the courtroom as well, which after court would be an issue. It's something you guys will have to work out. Typically, we are done well before 6, but there's no guarantee.
And then, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And then the question is, if we do go back in person, it's setting up that boardroom. You know, setting up the owl and, you know, moving all the furniture and making sure that that's all in order. And we really don't have the staff to do that. I did it for 4 years and I'm not going to be interested in doing that again. So, yeah. And the cleanup, you know, especially Judge Morgan, how's the attendance been lately on your days?
It hasn't been that great. Our attendance is low, and we're trying to work through that. But I anticipate that we get the downturn in the COVID situation, that our numbers will be back up. It's nothing on a heavy day to have 120, 130 people come through the court. When that's going to happen, I don't know, but potential is there. I mean, in my opinion is, if you moved it to Wednesday and try it, and then if we have a conflict, deal with it then, to see how it works. But that's up to you guys.
So our cleaning, you know, we only have a half-time person here to clean, and we certainly need it more. But Heidi, is that going to give you enough time between the end of your day to be able to set up before 6 o'clock?
On Wednesday? Or,
If
yeah,
we go back in person, yeah.
it would be easier if I have to set up the boardroom for in-person meetings. It would definitely be easier to do Wednesday opposed to doing it on Thursday.
Okay, so for the record, I don't know if you heard me, Heidi, I withdrew my motion to keep it on Thursdays. So Bob Stanamore, do you want to redo your motion?
Yes, please. So I'll motion to move it to Wednesday
At 6 p.m.?
at 6 p.m. Yes, sorry.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by John Tyo. Any further discussion or concerns? Again, if it becomes a problem, you know, we'll come back. All in
That's
favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, carried. Great. Thank you. Number 2, proposed dates for the joint town and village, actually it should say 2022 meetings, not 2021 meetings. So we met with the village And these are the dates, 1/26, 4/27, 7/27, and 10/26. That's a joint meeting with the Village of Canton. So I make a motion that we keep those dates. I think they're Wednesdays. Let's check.
Second,
Yep, these are Wednesdays as well. Okay, so there's a motion, and Bob Washoe, did you second? Okay, any discussion or? Okay, so the first meeting at the end of January, the village will be the host. And if board members, if you have items that you want on that specific agenda, just let me know, because they do their agenda, we also post as well, that there's a joint meeting. Okay, did I take a vote?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Carried. Designation of the official newspaper. As you know, the official newspaper that we had this year was, well, actually we had two, North Country Now, North Country This Week, and the Watertown Times. So we need to designate an official newspaper. St. Lawrence Plain Dealer will be coming back March or April. So I'd be interested in having them as well. So I'm going to open it up for discussion right now. Any thoughts? Both papers have served us well this past year. We
I'm
did go
all
over.
I'm all for supporting the local press and getting the word out as far and wide as possible. So I have no problem going to both newspapers, Watertown Times and North Country Now.
Okay.
Can we do,
Anyone
can we say that, but can we also say that when the St. Lawrence Plain Dealer is up and running, that we add them as, or do we not need to do that?
I think it's by default, John. That's how it was in the past. If you're with Johnson newspapers, it goes in the Plain Dealer, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
But
But just
we
to
should double
cover,
check.
just to cover our bases though, is it gonna hurt us to say all three? And if they don't come to fruition right away, it's still in there as a record of, in the records?
If
I
we
guess-
can't, I mean, they're not a legal, if they're not an entity at the moment, I guess we'd have to ask council, could we assign something that's to an entity that doesn't currently exist? So that'd be my only question.
I think once the Plain Dealer gets going, we can bring it back and put it on the agenda to designate them. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you're not going to be sending anything to them until they're up and running. And I think they've designated themselves that they're going to be. I don't know that it really hurts to do it now if you want to do it. I just don't think as a legal matter, it's that big an issue.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll motion.
What are you motioning?
For all three, for all three.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by John. All right, question or comments?
Is
Okay, just, oh, Jim?
Watertown and Plain Dealer are both going to be Johnson newspapers. So
Mhm.
if we have a legal notice that's got to go in, are we going to pay for legal notice for all three newspapers?
That's the point I was just going to bring up.
So
Publicity and the legal notices are costly. So that's a good point. I don't
And I
know that
mean-
we need to put them in all three, just as long as they're legally noticed in one, I think. And maybe Eric can speak to that.
and in that case, I would prefer North Country This Week and the Plain Dealer. Because they're, we know what the circulation is of North Country This Week is in Canton, and the Plain Dealer is going to be a Canton paper. And our legal notices only have to serve people of the town of Canton. So, but some of those legal notices can be quite expensive. So there's a financial issue to it besides, and I don't know if we need to run 3 newspapers.
In this past year, we are way over budget on our publicity line item because of the legal notices and the employment ads. Hopefully we won't have any more employment ads this year, but the legal notices are expensive. So,
Well, right now, we only have North Country Now listed for the past year. So if it's North Country this week and the Plain Dealer as a default when they get up and running, I think we're covered.
no, we appointed Watertown Times as well, Bob.
We
So
did.
we've
Oh,
been
okay.
using both of them. But there is a motion on the floor or on the Zoom for all 3, and there's a second. So do we want to reconsider?
I don't have a problem supporting all 3, but it could get, as you say, we're over our budget now. There's a cost associated with it. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Well, I guess my thinking on this is if they only need to be, when we do our legal notices, if they only need to go into 2 newspapers, can we not designate which 2 papers they're going to go in? North Country Now and at the time Watertown Times and then the Plain Dealer? I don't think we have to say, because I know when you do legal notices, generally you can choose where to put them. I know on the county level, the county clerk makes that decision, but because it's what the county clerk wants. But in our case, we can still say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, we can say that we'll do North Country Now, as long as we cover 2, we can do North Country Now and for the time being Watertown. And then when the Plain Dealer comes online, then we can switch it to the Plain Dealer. And then we don't have that extra cost.
Yeah, and Jim, the other thing I worry about is timing. If you've got publications that are coming out less than every day, sometimes you need the flexibility to get something out in a hurry.
Yeah, that's a point well taken. Because the Plain Dealer is only going to be what? It's only going to be, is it once a week? I assume?
Once a week, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we take a vote on Bob Stanmore motion that we utilize all 3, we designate all 3. We have a second, I think, by John Tile. All in favor say aye.
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 Bob, did
Aye.
you? Okay, all right, carried. All right, thank you. Official bank depository. We've been working with Community Bank for years, and it is my recommendation. I make the motion that we continue with Community Bank as our official bank depository. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bob Washoe. Any questions, comments, or concerns? They've served us very well. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, carried. We need to set the mileage allowance. At this time, we are paying 56 cents a mile. But the federal rate, you saw the letter from council, is 58.5 cents per mile for 2022. So
I'll make a motion to stay in line with the federal guidelines.
I'll second.
all right, any further questions or concerns or comments from the board? I support the federal rate of 58.5. We all use our own cars, and we don't have a town car, so I support that as well. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Carried. The procurement policy. Heidi, can you pull that up? Board, you have, you've seen a copy of the procurement policy. It's a good policy. We updated it in February of 2021. Is there a motion to continue with the same procurement policy?
So moved.
Moved by Bob Washoe. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, concerns, or comments?
Mm.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Thank you, Heidi, for pulling that up. Okay, that concludes our organizational meeting. It is 6:02. And I need a motion to adjourn from the organizational meeting.
I'll motion.
So move.
Okay, moved by John Tyo, second by Bob Sanamore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Okay. Heidi, is there anyone else in the waiting room?
No, no one's in there.
Okay. All right. I'm calling the meeting to order. This is our regular board meeting. Thursday, 1/13/22 at 6 p.m. Again, welcome everybody. I am adding a new item on under new business, number 6, appointment of a motor equipment operator, highway equipment operator. So that'll be under new business. Okay, first item on the agenda is county legislator representative updates. I don't see anyone here. Oh, is that Kevin?
It is. It is.
Kevin? Well,
I'm
long,
the-
long time no see.
Well, I've been building a home, and so I've been
Okay.
pretty busy.
Great,
Okay,
well,
so-
welcome
All
back.
right. Well, congratulations to everybody and your new office and serving the public, to everyone. First off, the budget has been passed for $260 million at the county. This is the 7th year of no tax increase. 6 of those 7 years since 2015, we've actually decreased taxes. Our fund balance, our unallocated fund balance is a little bit over $34 million, which is a long way from the -3 that we had in 2015. So our goal is to get it right around about 40 million, which will get us up around 15%, 16% of unallocated funds. As you're aware, we've got construction on 2 of our highway outposts, one in Russell. The one is in Lisbon there at the transfer station. And the third one will be on the property right there by, oh gosh, it's Paylors. So that's still in the works. So the plan is, I guess we have trucks in actually the Russell. They're moving in at night and they're taking them out in the day to finish the construction. Not sure about the Lisbon project, but the highway project, I think, has implications for Canton. Is that the long-term plan would be to move what's happening in the village of Canton with the county site and eventually move out there. So right now, all the repairs will be still taking place there at your facility there, at the county's facility in Canton. But the idea is that we have enough room. It'll be about a little over 45 acres, I believe, to move everything out there at some point in time. There's no actual plan, written plan, but I think that's the ultimate goal. So you won't have salt and sand blowing around in the city, backup alarms, that type of thing in the middle of the night or all hours of the night. As you're aware, we have hired the Bonadil Group to do our DSS investigations into allegations of mismanagement and concerning foster parents, biological parents, and caseworkers. So investigations are actually taking place right now. You should also be aware that some of the schools have reached out to us for having a sheriff's resource officer in their schools. And so that will be paid 100% by the school districts. And then we'll have those individual officers will be available to us for the summertime, to when people have time off, vacation, fill-ins or whatnot. So I think as long as the school districts pick up 100% of the cost, I think that program will remain in effect. Pistol permits, things are returning to back the way they were. County Judge Story will be taking over that, and I believe that the registrations of guns will be taking place at the county clerk's office. The other thing is let's see, I'm the chairman of the ARPA funds, which Canton has gotten over $1.2 million. And so the county has gotten almost $21 million. And so our committee has met a couple times. And basically, I tasked Ruth Doyle, our county administrator, with actually looking for projects that have a countywide benefit and take care of those needs first before we get into what you could call maybe pork projects from individual legislators. So we have plans for right now about $18 million of it. So there's about $3 million left that could be for cultural trails, museums, and that kind of thing. But it's really in flux right now. One of the things I can tell you that we're focusing, first of all, on emergency communications. For one thing, for all of our ambulance and our fire departments. That's about a $4 million cost, about $1 million for tree removal of the ash trees that are on county roads that don't have power, the national grid lines underneath them. The National Grid's taking care of that. Initially, with this ARPA funds was to replace costs that you incurred for COVID. And so St. Lawrence County, like many of the northern counties, have actually done pretty well. So it's a calculated formula that so far we've been able to basically calculate about a $3 million loss. There's a final rule that just came into effect that will go into effect in April. And basically now we just found this out within the last week that up to $10 million could be utilized and you wouldn't have to do any calculations for it. So it remains to be seen what we could do with it. My own personal thing was take the $21 million and use it strictly for highway roads and bridges. We're about 40% deficient. That's not what the plan is for. It turns out with this final rule, we can use it for some bridge repair and culverts and things of that. So that may change. The county has a plan of moving some departments around. There's been some interest in actually dispatch from other communities, Ogdensburg in particular. We did a trial run and kind of a mixed reaction there, but they're going to need more space. And I think we're going to kind of plan for in effect as if the other municipalities are interested in sharing the dispatch. It becomes more centralized. So there's some movement there, some actually moving buildings and grounds from their present location to a warehouse that's out back of DSS and making some renovations to the old jail. The sheriff's house, I think Linda Cashley would probably love that. And so that might end up in Linda's hands. And then we allocated some monies for broadband and sewer, about $3 million in each department. We know that there's 5 areas of the county that are deficient in broadband. There's a group that we have that's chaired by Margaret Haggard, Nicole Terminelli, and Susan Fiacco that are working with planning. And they determined of these 5 areas that there's 2 areas that would actually specifically, because of their poverty rates and population rates, would be eligible for funding through USDA. That's Rensselaer Falls and South Colton. Those are the 2 areas that meet that definition. And then water and sewer, Dan Fay has been instrumental in bringing forth the town and the village of Canton's water project that you've had on board for about 7 years that's shovel ready. There's only 2 entities that actually in the survey that were looking for help with their water and sewer infrastructure, and that was Morristown and Canton through Dan Fay. So we know now with the infrastructure bill that has been passed that there's going to probably be a lot of money for those type of things. And so maybe the contribution from the county may not be so much of it may be needed, but that's where we are right now. Like I said, it's the 2nd meeting. So that's, we're looking for probably the IDA to actually administrate the remaining funds so that, or maybe through the RBRDA, so that we don't have some legislators picking and choosing about what projects actually get supported with that remaining $3 to $5 million. I want to congratulate specifically certainly Bob and John and Heidi, but also Stephen Smith. You couldn't ask for a better individual to run your highway department. And as soon as the guy in Madrid retires, Madrid's going to steal him from you. So Steve's an excellent mechanic, and he'll be nose to the grindstone. So congratulations to all of you. So that's pretty much all I have.
I think he covered it for me too.
Okay, so you're muted, Marianne.
Bob, did you want to say something?
Thank you. Dan, is there anything you wanted to add?
I just wanted to add that one thing, I don't know if you talked about it before, is we had a great presentation the other night by an individual that was been in energy all of his life. He talked about solar and wind power. You know, it was very interesting what he had to say. And he said, I hope that we haven't gone too far with solar and wind power. And there's some handout. He gave us a handout, and I'll drop it off at the office. Mine's written all over, but I'll get it from the county and drop it off, unless Kevin's got one right there. But did you speak on that, Kevin, at all?
No, I didn't, Dan. No, but it was a guy that's been in the energy field all his life and was talking about the problems. Like 50% of the energy use here in New York State is natural gas, and that there's basically just don't have the capacity for in these particular areas. There's legislation that was tried to be put through, I think last year, that was basically fossil fuel based, these peak units of, well, how would you, it's like the cogen plants basically.
Yes.
So these come on lines, and if these cogen plants are fossil fuel based, whether it's natural gas, that basically if they're in what they call them, social environmental justice fields or environment, that there's no way it can replace. So we want to be careful about some of this legislation that's coming forth as to whether or not the renewable energy can supply that. So.
Okay. Oh, excuse me, Dan.
I was just going to add something. He pointed out to us that the other day, and we was talking about what date did I have? January 2nd. The temperatures were in the northern parts of the state -10 and 10 below zero, where basically we had no wind power being generated at all. And at some point in time, we could be at a point where if there's no wind power being generated because the wind's not blowing, the sun's not shining, we could be in trouble with power if we're going too much towards wind and solar power, seeing, as Kevin just pointed out, the present time that we're generating power 50% from natural gas, and natural gas is certainly a burning product, but it's as clean as we can get almost. And he's pointing out to us that I think that wind and solar are not only the answers we have in battery power, you haven't got a way really to store it in great quantities yet. Does that pretty well cover it, Kevin?
Yeah, it does. I mean, a lot of this renewable energy has taken up a lot of space. So it's about 5 acres per megawatt. And basically the gist of it is that we better be serious about, if we're going to be going to a carbon dioxide free environment, that we better start considering nuclear.
Okay. Well, thank you for all that information. I do want to say, Kevin, to your point of Canton getting over $1 million, the town in specific for the ARPA money, we got $217,000 this year and expect the other half this summer coming, and that the villages got their own allocations, but that's the total of the 2 villages and the town. So thank you for bringing that up. Board members, any questions of our representatives? Any comments? Okay, Bob Washoe.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin and Danny. Kevin, you mentioned a reformula for the use of the ARPA funds that you were just notified about. Was that county specific or was that across all jurisdictions?
No, it's something, it was a thing that we got from the National Association of Counties. It's the national group that St. Lawrence County we're a recent member of it. And they were basically, it's something that they've been lobbying for, was more flexibility for the use of these funds. And so they're claiming victory on their lobbying efforts, Bob. So it will add more flexibility. Certainly for my own personal thing is that, really everybody runs the roads. Jobs are dependent on these roads and the bridges. We got several communities where small bridges have been closed you know, as every year, it seems like we're closing one or two and they're being closed permanently. So I tried you know, the legislation doesn't allow us to use it primarily for that type of infrastructure. So with a little bit of leeway, now that we can do $10 million instead of that revenue loss calculation, we can use up to 10 million without having to do the calculation. That could change our formula, but I still would have to have support of, have to be 8 votes to do so. So the survey was pretty, we had a lot of responses. Obviously somebody had organized for the Children's Museum in Potsdam because they got about 150 suggestions. So it's kind of funny because like the Remington Art Museum actually didn't submit a request. I think that survey is going to be available if you have not seen it. I think we're going to have it on the county website because I think the other night, Dan, somebody asked about it, right? And
Yes.
It's actually during our meeting, Amy Simmons, the CSCA president, wanted to see it. So I think we're going to make it available. It's a survey. So a lot of requests for actually enhancing essential workers, like stipends, bonuses, that type of thing. County workers.
Childcare.
You know, so yeah.
Thank you. And I concur on the need for infrastructure. And I guess the thing I would add to that is to start thinking about broadband as infrastructure similar to roads, because it is how people get to work now and it is how they get to school. So broadband is infrastructure as well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, well, in our initial meeting, we have 3 million set aside. And in my talks, Ruth Doyle and I met with Patrick Kelly out of the IDA. And he said, well, how come you're putting so much money into that category? Because he thinks from his sources, there's going to be all kinds of money available from the federal government that are going to be flowing down specifically for broadband. So it's kind of like the old rural electrification. So, but the committee that I mentioned with Margaret Hargett as chair and Jason Fultonhauer with planning, they've determined those 2 areas out of the 5 deficit areas that the broadband survey that we had with Dank showed. So it's a start. I mean, it's very expensive. I think the problem with I think with some of these utilities like Slick or whoever is once they get it up, it's the maintenance and it's actually the taxation on the lines itself is a problem. So you should be aware. Yes, you know, then Slick is trying to, and others are all trying to get their assessment lower, which impacts all of us.
Let's hope the federal legislation passes. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? Bob Sanamore.
So just a quick question, either Kevin or Dan. And I don't at all disagree with the comments regarding not eliminating the fossil fuels. However, the new passage of the Climate Control Act, was there any discussion of how the issue that you just brought up is going to really compete with the Climate Control Act? Because the Climate Control Act, I believe it's by 2040, we're supposed to be 70% fossil fuel free. So that becomes a challenge to, and a lot of times to governments more so than the private sector.
So I think, I don't know about that act specifically. Is that a New York State? Is that the title for the act in New York State?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought it was 50% by the year 2030.
Well, they changed it a little bit, but either way, I've been dealing with it in another area, but that was exactly my concern. And like I said, if this person is saying what we're all saying, how do we fight that? I guess that's my question.
Well, so there's a couple examples as well. Right now, when the wind is blowing and these solar fields are coming online, and probably Eric Gustafson can speak to this, I've been told that the grid can't handle it. It's like a pipeline. You can only handle, say, 10 gallons per second through there. And if you got 15 gallons, the other 5 gallons gets shut down. So I think I've been told is at the dam, they're actually letting the water flow through when it happens, because you can only saturate the grid with so much power. And then you've got the excess has to go someplace else. And there's not battery storage. The gentleman that spoke the other night, it was a large battery facility, but it was that referenced one in California. but the lifespan of the batteries is only 3 to 4 hours. So if you got 8, 9, 10 hours of darkness and the wind's not blowing, you don't have any sun. So the other case is in Long Island, where they block the pipeline for natural gas going to Long Island. And so National Grid realized that they stopped, they didn't have the supply of natural gas, so they stopped doing residential installations. And so Governor Cuomo got after him. They fined National Grid, paid an $18 million fine, won't allow fracking in New York State, wouldn't allow the pipeline. And then he says that, okay, well, it can be brought in by barge or by truck, which really frightened the environmentalists, which it should. And so it's that kind of thinking that, it feels good. I'm doing the green thing here, but actually not talking about the practical aspects of it. Right. And then of course, National Grid says, and this $18 million fine, this will not be passed on to the ratepayers. Well, baloney. I can, I'll sell you some ice in Alaska too. We're going to eat it somewhere. So there's a couple examples. It's just short-sighted. It's feel-good legislation. I think that fossil fuels are going to be around for a while. And I tell my climate change friends, Ginger Story Welch, I can't take you guys serious if you're not considering nuclear, which is carbon-free. And surprisingly, there's one of the most recent plant was a component-based plant, I think in Washington State, and where it's built off-site and then brought in and then put together. So there's a small one, and there's what's happening now is all our nuclear facilities are so old that they're kind of outdated, and their safety protocols and the engineering is so much better now. The one in Washington State, I was reading about it in the Wall Street Journal. And if there's a power failure, the electrodes come out of the solution of the water. That's when the energy is the whole process is started. So if you have a failure, gravity will drop those rods back into the solution. It ends the nuclear action. So it's not like the Japanese plant where it continued to function after the tsunami went in there and took it out. Right. So, Germany is the same way. Germany just closed 3 nuclear plants. They'll be totally dependent on natural gas from Russia. So I think they're making a serious mistake, but that's a long ways from St. Lawrence County.
Right. Dan, you're going to drop the literature off at the town offices?
I'll drop off that one off.
Okay.
The printout he had, it was made you think about things, and just adding something that Kevin just said, that they're, right now the nuclear power plants were built to have a life of 50 years, and now they're asking for to extend them another 50 years. That doesn't make sense to me, and I don't know how true it is, but if something's supposed to last 50 years, I don't think we should especially take a nuclear power plant and say, now you can last 100 years.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay.
In France has had 80 to almost 90% of the electricity has been produced by nuclear for quite some time. Thank you.
I think this is a really big topic, and we can go on and on and on, but we do have a full agenda. So I appreciate Dan and Kevin coming tonight, and hopefully we'll see you again next month, and appreciate all the information. And you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we're going to move forward. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Kevin. Thanks, Dan. All right. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have the regular board meeting of 12/9 and the special year-end board meeting of 12/30. I need a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll motion.
Motion by Bob Sanamore. Is there a second?
I guess I would just point out that these minutes were from last year before the new board members were here, so I'm not quite sure if they could be voted on, can they, in that way? So in any case, it's a matter, I would make the motion if not, or second Bob's. But these were meetings that took place last year.
Are you saying we should abstain?
I guess I'll let council answer that.
Bob, and I don't know that there's any official rule on that. I mean, typically they're, the new board members aren't going to have the same knowledge of what happened. So I don't know how they feel about voting on it, but I don't think there's a rule one way or the other that says they can or can't vote on it.
Okay, I'll second Bob's motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Bob Sanamore, second by Bob Washoe. Any further discussion or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
I abstain.
Abstained by John Tayo. Okay. Thank you, John. All right, correspondence. We have a few things here. We received the 2021 annual report for revenues and expenditures of foreign fire insurance. All fire departments get this notice, and it's from the New York State Comptroller's Office. And what I do is I follow up, sending it to the fire departments again, just reminding them that they need to complete this paperwork for the Comptroller's Office. So that's one correspondence. The next is an updated return to work isolation guidance that we received Christmas Day. It was sent from the New York State. I'm hearing some background noise. Okay. It was sent from the New York State Department of Health on Christmas Day to the deputy clerk's email. So it's an advisory on shortening isolation period for certain fully vaccinated healthcare workers and other critical workforce. So we're gonna look at that, and I'm gonna send it to the board and council for consideration on that. As we know, COVID, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed, yeah. There's a lot to keep track of, but you know what our goal is to keep everybody safe and healthy, for sure. Okay, the next is we received the town and city chargebacks memo, and this is what is added on in addition to the tax bills that we are receiving. It covers the workers' compensation allocation, the real property tax office charges, Board of Election charges, and community college tuition charges. And there's a county list that goes along with that of what every municipality is charged. Villages, I believe, it's a separate payout rate from their budget, whereas towns, it's part of the tax bills that is on the taxpayers. So the total that the town of Canton pays, what town of Canton taxpayers for 2022 is an additional $189,278.73. Last year, it was $158,346.41. So it's gone up a little. Okay, so that's also part of the correspondence. The last one is we've received several notices from Senator Schumer's office and the Association of Towns on the ARPA funds, the final rural funding guidelines. And I participated in a webinar through Schumer's office yesterday. I'm going to be participating in an Association of Towns webinar tomorrow. And again, there's a lot of information of what we can and can't use that money for, but it seems like the guidelines have been softened a little bit. It's very interesting. So we'll be forwarding you all that information, and we need to start having a discussion about the ARPA funds, hopefully starting next month. Okay, town finances reports. So normally we would have two financial reports, the first one for the town and the next one for the clerk's office. The clerk's office report is going to be tabled and will be reported on next month. So John, you want to report out on the town one?
Yes, thank you, Mary Ann. So if we look at the summary of fund balances and revenue and expenses, in the general fund A, our revenue was $66,600 over budget for the year. Our expenditures were under budget, $31,400. That results in a surplus for Fund A of $98,064. When you add that to the opening fund balance of $195,000, the ending fund balance as of December 31st is $293,100. Town outside B, revenue again is over budget by $195,000. Expenditures were over budget by $41,000. So we have a surplus for the year of $154,578 in outside B. And that brings the fund balance at the end of the year to $380,365. The RBEG account, there was no activity, so the fund balance remains the same as it was at the end of last year, $87,763. Likewise, in the special revenue fund, there's no activity. The fund balance remains at $2,539. Townwide Highway Fund DA, revenue is $12,763 over budget. Expenditures were under budget by $82,972. So we have a surplus for the year of $95,735, which brings the year-end fund balance to $256,709. In Part Town Highway Fund DB, revenues were $58,000 over budget. Expenditures were $48,000 under budget. So we have a surplus in Fund DB for the year of $106,746, which brings the fund balance at the end of the year to $528,196. Special fire, we had in and out, there was opening fund balance of $808. The ending fund balance is $808. Expenditures and revenue are both right on budget there. Special lighting, we are $7,000 over budget in revenue. And on the expense side, we're $3,000 under budget. So the deficit for the year is $4,053. That reduces that fund balance down to $10,585. So for the entire town, we're over budget in revenue by $330,000, under budget in expenses of $120,000. So our surplus for the townwide is $451,070 for the year, which brings our ending fund balance on December 31st to $1,560,000. Joint activity fund remains a negative fund balance of $25,879. That has not changed since the beginning of the year. When we look at the cash accounts at the end of the year, the American Rescue Plan cash at the end of December is $217,340. It was $217,338 at this time last month. And a year ago, there were no funds in that account. Solar escrow, $140,566 at the end of December, $143,297 at the end of November. And likewise, there was no money there a year ago. These two funds are both sort of like an escrow account. The money does not belong to the town and will be used for specific purposes going forward. General fund cash A, $302,568 at the end of December, $317,000 at the end of November, and a year ago was $166,000. Outside B fund, $295,954 of cash on December 31st. It was $433,000 at the end of November, and a year ago was $229,823. RBEG, $50,414, $49,774 last month, and $76,896 at this time last year. Cemetery fund has not changed, $2,540 at the end of December, the end of November, as well as the end of last December. DA and DB fund cash at the end of December was $862,000. At the end of November was $1,053,000. And at this time last year, December 31st of 20, was $601,000. Special fire, special lighting was $11,399 at the end of December, $15,424 at the end of November, and $15,451 at the end of last December. Revolving loan fund, $46,925. That's been the same the whole year, except for a few cents. Joint activity fund, $8,422, and likewise, that's been the same for the entire year. Trust and agency fund, $5,294 at the end of December, $1,620 at the end of November, and a year ago was $51,000. So total cash, townwide as of December 31st, 21, $1,944,000. At this time, at the end of last December, it was $1,199,337. But again, we have about $357,000 of temporary money that will be going back out. Doesn't really belong to the town.
All right, thank you, John. Board
You're
members,
welcome.
any questions? All right, well, appreciate all the work that Gray and Gray does for us, and I'm pretty proud of how we have all stuck together on working hard on the finances for the town, so thank you. Okay, audit committee, approval of year-end expenditures for January, not year-end, approval of expenditures.
Okay,
So
Jim and I
Bob
went, yep, it'll be the Bob and Jim show. And I guess Jim wanted me to speak, so I'm happy to do that. So after we get through all of the invoices, the townwide general fund, Fund A, total expenditure is $19,088.83. B, town outside, the total is $126,244.65, which includes $123,747.52, which was for prior year services for the rec department that we wrote a check for the village of Canton. So that was our share for that. And then the only other one was the town outside highway, townwide highway. The total expenditures were $19,713.48. Is that anything else, Jim?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the expenditures.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Jim Smith, second by Bob Washoe. Any further discussion or question or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Carried. Thank you. Okay, department reports. All right. Let's start with Stephen from Highway. And if you could turn on your camera, department heads, when you speak, that would be helpful. All right, Stephen. Just need to unmute. There you go.
Hi there.
Hi.
So we had the transition from Calvin to myself, and that went very smoothly. Calvin was really helpful in all that, and the crew was also. I had down that we were continuing to search for the motor equipment operator position to get it filled, but we ended up filling that, and we hope that, well, we don't hope, our new hire will be starting on Monday, the 24th. So he's just finishing up the last of his paperwork and should be ready to go. And other than that, we've had a lot of sanding going on, a lot of little nuisance snows, but it looks like next Monday is going to be a challenge, but we'll get through it. And I did have down that I appreciated the town board for letting us purchase a scan tool to be able to work on the trucks. That helped us out a lot there on Sunday, the 2nd, I guess it was, to get a truck home that went down on us out in the middle of the road. So that was a good purchase. I wanted to thank everybody for that.
Okay, board members, any questions or comments of Stephen?
So that being said, Stephen, maybe just very quickly explain how a scan tool got a truck back to the shop rather than having to have it towed.
Long story short, we had a module fail on the truck that wiped out all the gauges on the dash. So I was not willing to take a chance on a $40,000 motor with no oil pressure gauge to see if it could be brought home or not. So you can hook the scan tool on and bring all your gauges up real time on the screen and be able to watch everything. So one guy sat in the passenger seat with a scan tool and watched the gauges, and someone else drove it home, which kept us from having to truck a loader to Rensselaer Falls, pick the sander grate off the top and the plows, load everything on the tractor trailer, and 3 trips to get everything home. So it that helped out a lot. in the middle of a snowstorm at that.
Okay, since Stephen mentioned the appointment and it is on the agenda, why don't we just save some time and do that, you know, it's Stephen's appointment, but for the record, why don't we just say who it is at this point? Stephen, would you like to introduce your new hire and at what rate of pay?
Yes, Bryant Durham will be starting on Monday the 24th, and I don't have the exact figure, but I believe it's $24.61 an hour he will be starting at. So that will be, he has highway experience already, is coming from another highway department, has been plowing for 3 seasons. So that will save a huge amount of time with training for us.
Great. And the rate of pay is $24.62.
Sorry.
For the nope, that's okay. I had to look it up a couple times. Yeah, so I'll be meeting with Bryant tomorrow to get the paperwork all settled so that it'll be good to go starting on the 24th. So that'll be in the morning. So we welcome Bryant. Okay, Cindy.
Hi.
Cindy. Hi.
Hi. Okay, I don't have much to add to my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Could you give us a few highlights?
Well, I did mention about the state. They made an error when they developed the valuation model, and it's been corrected. That came down, and there's a class they're giving in February on how to do this valuation. I'm going to take it. So, I mean, they went through it with us and everything, but it was fast and it was over Zoom and everything. So you lose a lot. And the fact that there was an error on it and that the New York State Assessors Association, they found it and they wanted them to, it got revised and everything. So, yeah, I'll be taking the class. I'll be I have all the information, been keeping it together. Anything that's been coming down from the state in reference to the solar valuation. Also, the governor issued an executive order, and it came in 2 weeks after I had already mailed out the senior star exemptions, and I had already gotten back half of them. At this point, I got about 70% in so far, so we don't have that much left to go. Like I said, there was only 36 of them, and the people have been real good. They've been sending the information back to me, and they have till March 1st to get that in. And that's about it.
Okay. Board members, any questions or comments for Cindy?
I just want to thank Cindy. I just want to thank Cindy for all of the great communication. And as soon as she gets something, she's sharing it with our committee relative to the new assessment models and any sort of pilot information coming through the state. So thanks for that, Cindy, and keep it coming.
Okay, you're welcome. I've only been sending it to you, Bob, but if anybody else on the board wants it, I'll be happy to send it down to them.
I've been forwarding it to the other committee members and the attorney. So everybody, the people who are on the committee are getting to see it. I'm re-forwarding it, so.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Cindy, for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Heidi, would you like to go?
Hey, everyone. So like Stephen, we're in a transitional period too in the office. So we're just making sure all the usernames and passwords are updated, just finding things in the office. We're familiarizing ourselves with some of the changes that have been made. We're working with the BAS program, which is our program that deals with like our vital statistics. So birth, death, marriage, genealogy, dog license, etc. We're just trying to utilize making sure we're utilizing it to the fullest of the potential for the program for our office. So we've been on the phone with them. for a couple of days. That's been a long process, but it's getting better every day. So this is also on the agenda for under new business, but I have appointed a deputy, Leanna Moquin. She started with me on January 4th. She's doing amazing. She's caught on very quickly to our tax program and collecting taxes. She's so friendly with the customers and she's doing great. As the month goes on, we'll start introducing some of the other things to her that we do in the office, but mostly right now we're working on taxes. But again, she's doing great. We've been pretty busy with distributing the KN95 masks, getting a lot of phone calls for those. I have an upcoming meeting with John Gray just to go over the contract between Gray and Gray and the town clerk's office. And then I just printed off a trial balance. So that's a change to my report. So as of today, we've collected 11% of taxes, which is $633,944.53. So we've been pretty busy with, there's a lot of foot traffic in here in mail for taxes. So that's about it. If anybody has any questions or.
Leanne is on the call. Leanne, let me see if I can find you. Where? Oh, is she on, Heidi?
Yeah, she's here. You can unmute Leanne and say
Oh,
hi.
okay. Oh, there you are, Leanna. It's Leanna. I got to keep that up at the end. So, welcome, Leanna. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already met you, and just welcome to the town, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the hard work. It's been a busy couple weeks. For
Yes,
sure. For sure.
But
And as
Heidi's
far as
an
the,
excellent trainer.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Heidi is an excellent trainer.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. As far as the KN95 masks, we're going through those like hotcakes. But I just did get notified by the county again. There's another shipment coming in, and so I did request a town allocation. But these are going to be a little different than what we've gotten. So I'm not sure what they are. They are KN95 masks, but it's my understanding they're going to be a little different. So we'll keep moving on those and allocating some to the villages and then go.
Mary Ann,
from
the
there.
difference is they don't go around the ears, they go around the back of your head. That's the only difference.
They go around the back. Well, I can't wait to see those, Kevin.
Yeah, so they go around here. There's two straps and they go around your head.
Okay, well, we appreciate the county emergency services letting us know, and yeah, we'll just keep handing those out. So appreciate it. But to be honest with you, we are looking for home test kits. I did contact Matt Denner and see if there was any allocations coming, and he indicated that they are expecting something, but I'm not sure when or how many. So we are looking at that too. So okay, so thank you, Heidi. All right, Lee. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
Want to give a few highlights?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, most people probably are aware that we did not receive the $10 million award once again. Messina and Tucker Lake got that this year, but we were able to have a debrief call with a rep from Empire State Development. So we got a little bit of feedback from them. They didn't have a whole lot of negative things to say about the application, which is a little frustrating, but we did get a little bit of takeaway, some things we can work on for this year. So we're starting to think about that already. Probably come May, we'll be starting to work on that again. We also did not get the local waterfront revitalization program grant that we applied for the rec assessment. And we had a debrief call on that as well. Again, they couldn't really say much negative about our application. It was very well received. One thing was that it was a planning project instead of an implementation project. So we got fewer points. We automatically lost 8 points for that reason. So we were encouraged to resubmit that application. On that note too, the local waterfront revitalization program, we've had a local waterfront revitalization plan for the Grass River since 2010, maybe, I think. And that's the basis for a lot of these projects and applications that we're able to submit through that program. For whatever reason, when we first did that in 2010, there's a difference between a waterfront revitalization plan and a local waterfront revitalization plan. I'm not sure exactly what the differences are. I think it's taking it a little further as far as looking at maybe things like waterfront overlays and taking some more official action about what can and can't happen in the waterfront district. And I think for whatever reason at that time, we didn't want to go to that level. But we're considering looking at that now because we're not formally, our waterfront is not formally recognized by the state at this point. We don't have a formal waterfront revitalization area. So we lose points on applications for that reason. So particularly since the village has just redone their zoning and everything, we feel like a lot of the work has been done that maybe would need to happen to make that that next step. So we're planning, or we actually have a date now set. We're getting a presentation from the Department of State to let us know what it would take to get to that next level. So the ED team is going to participate on that with myself and Jenny and find out what it's going to take to do that. And they suggested if it involves consultants that we could add that into our existing application and get that funded as part of our next application. So that's something we're looking at. We met with Bob and John. Our ED team met. Bob and John are the reps. Bob Santamore and John are the new reps to the ED committee. So we met on Monday and went through everything with them, the alphabet soup and the structure and everything that's involved. So they're up to speed on that. So we'll be getting that presentation later this month from Department of State, and we can relay that information. What else? We're plugging away with projects. We're into year-end reporting now at this point. We closed out a bunch of projects at the end of last year. We did get the local government efficiency grant for Stiles Avenue. So I did receive an email with some documentation for that and had a call about what needs to be done. So I'll be getting with you on that, and we can get rolling on that project soon as well. So that'll be good. I don't know what else. Does anyone have questions? I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Yes, I was. I don't have a question, but I am the coordinator this year of the Economic Development Consortium, which is the higher level. So I will be reaching out and trying to schedule that soon. So, the mayor and
Great. Yeah, we have a lot of new players there.
Yes. So, and we want to thank the old players as well. So we'll be getting that together.
Absolutely.
Board members, any questions of Lee? All right, thank you for.
I did want to mention one other thing.
Okay.
And go ahead, Bob. Maybe you're going to bring it up.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, I don't think, because I don't know what you're going to bring up. But I was just going to thank you for the and I realize it was just a short 2 hours, but it was a great meeting last week, and it was a good education. So I appreciate it.
Good. It'll be ongoing. There's a lot to learn. I was going to mention the CDBG CARES Act funding. That came about last year. It's community development block grant funding, which targets low to moderate income assistance to people of low to moderate income, either through jobs or residential assistance or things like that. And we had done a public hearing jointly as the town and village. And we hadn't submitted an application yet. They released a new notice of funding availability at the beginning of the year. So we would like to schedule a new public hearing and reassess where we're at. We arrived at that we know we want to apply for small business assistance to give grants to small businesses, but there's a number of other things that you can apply for as well. And we would like to do the public hearings again. So I wanted to get that on your radar. We did send an email out, and I know you're aware of it, Mary Ann, but I wanted to just bring it up to the whole board because we did want to get that scheduled. We had talked about this Monday as well. And we're thinking that rather than trying to rush it and have it on the 26th at the joint meeting, we thought that wouldn't give ample time to the public to be able to respond. So we'd really like to kind of publicize it and get it out there a little bit more and try to garner more input from the public on what they would like to see in this application, because there are a number of things you can apply for. So we were thinking of doing it either before the town's February meeting or the village's February meeting. And then I'm working on the application in the meantime.
And that's going to be on the joint meeting agenda to discuss.
Yeah, I think it will be discussed at that time. And then, yeah, maybe we'll set the public hearing. Is that what you're thinking at that time?
Yeah, we can decide which municipality wants to do it. So,
okay. Great. Well, I think we
Go ahead.
decided last time to have the town be the applicant, just so it's not limited to only businesses in the village. The assistance that we could provide. If the village is the applicant, we could only assist businesses that are within village limits.
Okay. All right. Well, that's something
We did
we'll
do a
have to-
joint town and village. We did do a joint town and village public hearing just in case, because both are eligible to apply. If they each wanted to apply for funding, they could.
Okay. All right. Something to consider. Thank you, Lee. Just one other thing. We did receive the final reimbursement payment of $7,900 on the Oswegatchie River Plan. So that is done. And thank you for all the work on that. So much paperwork. So, okay. Thanks so much, Lee. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's see. Judge Morgan, are you still on? Let's see. Judge Morgan still on?
I am.
So good to see you here. Would you like to say a few words? Well, Justice Court.
Well, we're maintaining court as best we can. I expect we're going to have some more COVID rules coming down from Office of Court Administration just because of the high numbers. But we haven't received anything yet. We are anticipating having some interviews for our part-time clerk. We're just trying to arrange schedules so that we have myself and Judge Foster available to be able to do that with our schedules. So that's about all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Mike McQuaid. How about you? Are you there? Mr. McQuaid, Code Enforcement.
There we are.
There you are. Hi.
Using an iPad I haven't used, so still trying to figure it out.
Okay.
I'd like to welcome the two new board members. I've seen faces, but behind the mask. But anyways, again, through the months of December, 3 new permits for the town of Canton. 4 or 5 violations were written for the town of Canton. Still trying to clean up the office the way I would like it, organizing it and getting it more user friendly. Still receiving multiple emails from solar developers for a couple projects that have been in the works, and in a couple newer projects that we haven't seen any plans with yet, but I've sent all the information out to the solar group that's dealing with these projects as they come in. Other than that, it's, this time of year, it's quiet. It's, just trying to get everything. I start my in-service training tomorrow via Zoom because in person will be unlikely again this year. So, any board members have any questions?
Okay. Great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Linda Casserly.
There I am, right?
Yes. Hi, Linda.
Okay, I'm glad Kevin Akers is still on, I think there, because he can understand what I'm going to be talking about. Because I repeated something in this things in this monthly meeting on the sheriff's house because of the 2 new board members. Hi, Kevin. Thank you. I've bothered probably legislators a lot, but Ruth Doyle is on our side now about the sheriff's house, right, Kevin? And Nancy LaFavor. So in my next, let's see, I'm 75, in the next 3 years, I want to see that sheriff's house done and what the possibilities can be. And for all of you that don't know, if you go on the Jim Thorpe prison site in Pennsylvania, that's my dream. Yeah, I'm not going to explain it all right now. It's called Jim Thorpe's Prison in Pennsylvania. What a bunch of businessmen and people did on that main street when they took off over the sheriff's house. So that's a dream. I don't know if we'll get close to that, but something should be done with that sheriff's house. The architect that's working with us, he went on tour. I think I put the picture on my report again. He walked in with Lee. He walked that jail at least 3 or 4 years ago, and he said this building cannot come down. So that is our hope. And when Ruth got involved in it, Kevin, am I right? Is there a committee now for the sheriff's house?
If there is, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
But our intention is for it to be saved for sure.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. So that's why I repeated that on there for John and Bob. And I try to put the update emails, and I don't know if I should keep doing that because it just takes up so much time. And Nancy and Ruth, and they get back to us at least twice a month for our meetings. So that's an ongoing project. And then you see the people that contacted me this month alone for house information. And I like to be able to help those people. And I got another 2 requests today. So I get a lot of emails because I can talk and do things for people through emails. And if they call me, it comes to my own cell phone. So it's very busy. I miss Rennis Biznett, and I don't know Bob, John Ty would know Rennis Biznett, correct? Tunk's wife. She has been volunteering in that office for 4 years. She worked for the Abstractors on Main Street, and 2 years ago, they called her back for 4 hours a week. And she's 89. So that's the kind of talent she has. Right now, while we were all talking, I went through 10 folders to clean them out, and I have to bring it to him tomorrow. So she still volunteers. My paid assistant, Rachel, she got hired full-time by the library, which I was always hoping, but she still has 5 hours to work with me. We have to take care of the little storage room upstairs. But if you have any other questions, just always give me a call. And I like to put the pictures in so you know who I'm working with. I hope you don't mind the length of my report. We've got a lot of reading to do. Do tell me.
Love the pictures. Love the
Marianne's always telling me, you got so much in there. I want them to know and see who I'm talking with, who I'm working with. So I appreciate everything. Looking forward to the year ahead and maybe getting back in to more time where we can meet people. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But any questions you have, just get a hold of me. Bob's been in my office, so he sees where it is, and I know John knows where I am. So welcome aboard, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it.
Any questions? Thank you, Kevin, for coming on tonight.
Kevin, I think yeah, she's not going to let this go.
My God. I don't want to keep you any later. I don't want to keep you any later. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Okay, Megan, Recreation.
Yes, hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So start off with an update to the ADA canoe kayak launch. That's been really driven by Mark McKenna's volunteer efforts. We are very, very close to achieving the donation goal of $46,000. I'm sure most people here saw Channel 7 News came out. They did a great piece on Mark and myself. So hopefully that will help get us that final push to our goal. This morning, I received a notification that my general donation application to Stewart Shops was approved. They are going to donate $2,500 to the ADA canoe kayak launch. So that's great news. I also submitted a Stewart's Holiday Match application for some planned playground improvements for this summer. So hopefully that will go through as well. Let's see, the grooming at Partridge Run, the rec committee and the golf committee kind of started this conversation last year. It's unfortunately not going to happen this year. We were hoping to do a trial, borrow some equipment, do a trial, see how it goes. But we just don't have the necessary resources to do it. The person that we were hoping to do it just can't make it work. This is not going away. It's definitely on my list as expanding our recreational opportunities. So it's just finding the resources to do it. And also last night, our new rec committee met for our 2 new town board members, which we have John Tayo and Marianne Ashley. So we had a great meeting. And the village representation is still Carol Pinchon and Beth Larrabee. We basically just spent the meeting just getting John and Marianne updated on the progress since I started in August. Also discussed some current projects and some light future plans. And other than that, everything's going well. The pavilion is just running full force right now. Seems like every day we have schedule changes due to weather, to COVID, to everything, but the staff is doing fantastic. So everything's going really well. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any question, board members? All right. Well, thank you, Megan. I think, and Heidi, I think I got everybody. I think we're good to go. Okay, so I need a motion to accept department reports.
So moved.
Moved by Bob Washoe. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bob Sanamore. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay, great. Committee reports. Bob Washoe?
Yeah, thank you. We've already discussed solar quite a bit, and I guess I'm going to add a few more comments to that. The solar committee and planning committee continues to meet. We were notified in the last week about our 4th proposed 5 megawatt project for the town, this one on the outskirts of the village. You know, I am pro renewable, but you know, the way New York State went about it, hang on a second, somebody needs to mute. Okay, sorry about that. The way New York State went about it, you know, creating basically a green energy rush for the North Country without really fully getting the municipalities up to speed as far as what it means to handle these projects. There's a mountain of information for each project, a ton of research, a lot of moving parts, and unfortunately, our planning boards are just not equipped to deal with this many projects all at the same time. All of these projects are multi-million-dollar projects, not even counting the 240 megawatt projects slated for the town. So it's really putting a burden on our code office actually, and our planning board. And so I just wanted to put it on everyone's radar that probably for next month, we're gonna need to have a serious discussion as to what all this extra work means for a volunteer planning board and a volunteer planning board chairperson. Planning board work before solar was, you know, busy enough, but these solar projects really take town business to a whole different level and areas that a lot of us that's new to us. So I just think we need to recognize what this means for our planning board and start to have a discussion about how to adequately prepare our planning board and make sure that we have a planning board that can handle the amount of work that's going to come at them in 2022. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob. And I would just add to that, there's additional duties in this office as well, with the financials of all of it. So, yeah, so thank you for that.
And as far as board responsibilities, I mean, we're meeting and just talking every other day with our attorney on issues around pilots and host community benefit agreements and building permit fees. There's just an enormous amount of research to do. And unfortunately, we're pioneers in this. What's happening in St. Lawrence County and Canton specifically isn't really happening on this at this rate anywhere else in the state. So there's really no one to really go to. We're learning as we go and trying to do our best. Luckily, we do have a local law and are prepared about as well as anyone can be prepared, but still in all, there's a lot of moving parts to this, and everyone needs to understand that.
All right, thank you, Bob. Other committee reports? John, Tayo?
Yes, Toby would like to speak on broadband, if we can give him a moment to do that.
Okay, I did not see his hand up. Thank you for letting us know. Toby?
Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a few comments about the nature of the broadband committee. We have adopted, it is made up of three folks, John Talon, Anna Sorensen from the village, and me. And we've adopted a principle to say we're looking at the possibility of universal access or universal coverage for the town of Canton. Many of you may have seen that the county has put out an RFP, and that takes a very different approach. I would encourage all of you to take a look at the county website and review that RFP. The dates for submission are now, with an opening on the 19th of January for any proposals that may come forward. We in the town, however, are working with MC Fiber as professional services to enhance the planning effort based on the data that was acquired from the study that was done, the survey that was done last spring. We do not have a blueprint for action, and that's what we're trying to get to. So MC Fiber is going to be helping us with that endeavor. We're in the very preliminary stages of that, and we would welcome any comment and so forth from other folks at any time. We are having another introductory meeting to include Rensselaer Falls, actually tomorrow, so that we will be sure that the two municipalities inside the town are up to speed on what's happening here. And then we begin our work with MC Fiber directly. There are a number of issues to be considered, and we would hope to bring issues back to the board on a timely basis and report however you see fit, Marianne. I'm not sure whether we're reporting directly to you or in some different way, but we do expect to have information on a regular basis going forward. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Toby. So yes, John, as the representative on that committee, that would be up to you to forward the information however you see fit. The emails, reporting at the board, monthly meetings, and going from there. So yeah, so if you could help us out with that, John, I'd appreciate that. And then forward it to the whole board. Okay. Other committee reports. Bob Sanamore?
So we already kind of talked about the economic development piece with Lee and all those things, and I'm not quite frankly smart enough right now to have any further discussions about that. But one of the things as part of the Canton Sustainability Committee that came out, among other things, the Village of Canton is looking to contract with Jewel Jewel Power. They're a community power organization that provides inexpensive power, cheaper power to communities. And the village is looking into doing something in that regard. And right now they're looking at like a 60-day stream of information to kind of talk about it and those kinds of things. And in this particular case, if the village takes this on, it's an opt-out scenario as opposed to an opt-in scenario, which makes it a little bit nervous, frankly, in that regard. You know, to opt out of something, that means you have to remember to actually opt out of it. So that concerns me a little bit. But what they do want the town to be, I think, part of that. I just want to be ready for that response. And no matter where you are with it, I just want folks to be aware of it, and to, you know, and Klaus is the source for the most part for that, so we can get with him and have a further discussion on that. But I think it warrants possibly maybe him coming to one of our meetings and talking about it.
Or it could be part of the joint meeting agenda.
That might even be better. Yep, that might even be better.
Yeah.
The concern I have, and it kind of ties to our earlier discussion with Kevin and Dan, you know, making sure we're not putting our eggs in one basket. So.
Okay, so if you could forward an email to the board about that and request that be put on the joint agenda, I'd appreciate that.
Yep, I will do that.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, any other committee reports?
Negotiation committee. For lack of hearing back from CSEA's negotiator, we're at a standstill. And so now we are into, we're operating off from a expired contract. And so hopefully you can kind of continue to reach out to Brenda and try to get, you know, we're so close to having this done that it's frustrating in that already we are looking at having to do retroactive payroll. So hopefully we can keep going on that. The other thing was Bob talked, I think Bob said code and planning, but we are, and this again relates to what Bob said about the stress that we're putting on the planning board, that we've started back talking with Monica at River Streets. We renewed the contract because we got shut down for a bit with COVID. So we need to get up and moving on updating this code. I mean, that was, and again, there you had the planning department. We had the comprehensive plan, and then the comprehensive plan drove us to having to update the code, which we're working on. And so I think there are going to be ongoing things that the planning board is going to have to be dealing with. So I think Bob made a good point in that it's a lot to ask from a volunteer board to be spending just a lot of time doing what basically is going to need to be done because of you know, what's going on. But we are working with Mike McQuaid, code officer, is on that committee, and Bob and I, and planning board chair for that code revision work. And so we should be setting up another meeting with Monica right off.
Okay, thank you, Jim. John Tayo, do you want to comment on the Recreation Committee?
Well, I was going to, but I think Megan pretty well covered it for us.
Okay.
We'll let you speak now.
I'm going to add to it as part of the rec committee thing. We did talk about the role of the committees because there is an advisory committee and then there's the board committee, right? So we talked a little bit about establishing a clear understanding of what the roles of each committee is. We talked about the possibility of summer programming in Pirates and Morley and in Rensselaer Falls as well. And then we talked about the Youth Bureau grant that the village applies for each year, and that we need to get a handle on what they're applying for so that the town can apply for the allocation that supposedly we're supposed to be getting. So I just wanted to add those three points. And as far as when we also talked about when we love it when volunteers come forward and say we'd like to do this, but there's got to be a process and a paper trail of proposed projects by citizens. And there has to be a plan of action. So we talked about a little, about that type of order of business. And we love it when people come forward and, those two solid projects are going strong. So I just wanted to add those 3 points. Okay, I think that's good for now. Under old business, the Charter Communications Agreement Resolution. Heidi, would you please pull that up? So the Charter Communications Agreement. As many of you know, this franchise agreement has been on the agenda frequently. We did hold a public hearing on November 11th. We have a new agreement that is proposed, and we got them down from 10 years to 8 years. To me, that's a huge accomplishment. I really wanted to get them down to a 5-year agreement because it's such a long period of time. They did agree to 8 years. So the board has a copy of the proposed agreement. And in order to do this, we have to pass it by resolution. But I'm going to ask Eric, if you wouldn't mind chiming in on this as well, because we've spoke about this new agreement and the new term of 8 years. So Eric, would you like to say something to that?
Yeah, Marianne, I did go through the agreement as amended, and you were right to highlight the 8-year term. The other, I suppose, highlights of the agreement include the 5% franchise fee that goes back to the town. There are some indemnification provisions in there where they agree to indemnify the town for work being done in the town right of way. And if there's a pattern of non-compliance with the agreement, the town does have remedies that are spelled out, which is basically a revocation of the agreement. All in all, it seems consistent with what the Public Service Commission requires, and the charter is required under the terms of the agreement to seek Public Service Commission approval within 60 days of it being signed and accepted by both parties. So I think at this point it is what it is, and you've done a wonderful job bird dogging them and getting it reduced to an 8-year agreement.
Well, thank you. Heidi, could you pull up the resolution, please? So this is the resolution that is being proposed, granting of a cable, and this is exactly the same wording that they expect in a resolution. We just formatted it to our town format. Granting of a cable television franchise held by Spectrum Northeast LLC in the town of Canton, County of St. Lawrence. So Heidi, if you go down to the now therefore, there are 3 now therefores. The board has seen this. It's in the packet. It's part of the public folder that we have created. So we're not going to read it at this time. But you can see the now therefores. And if you could go down a little bit further, Heidi, please. So I am going to say this because to get them down to 8 years, I think was quite the accomplishment. So be it further resolved that the board of the town of Canton hereby grants the cable television franchise of Spectrum Northeast LLC in the town of Canton for 8 years, commencing with the date approval by the Public Service Commission, expiring 8 years hence. So having said that, is there a motion to approve this resolution and sign this agreement?
I have a question first, or do I have to wait for the motion?
At this point, let's go with your question.
So as I was reading through the contracts, I did notice the 5%. And so my first question is that 5% a standard rate? And as it relates to that, it also said in the contract that that 5% was going to be directly passed on to each one of the customers. So based on how I read that, it looks as if that 5% cost is going to be passed on.
That's what the agreement has been, 5% for the last 10 years. It is the decision of the town board. We could have 0%. It is passed on to the consumers. Yes, we could have 0%, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And the town board, well, the past agreement has been 5%, and that franchise tax is sent to us directly from them, and that is part of our budget. So we have already budgeted for 2022 to receive 5%. Heidi, you can take that down now if you would, please.
So if I may, so it seems to me then with that 5%, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5, it seems to me that Spectrum doesn't really have any teeth in this because they're actually passing that cost on to the taxpayer.
I don't understand what your point is, Bob.
So based on how the contract is read, and maybe Eric can clarify this, based on how the contract is written, that 5% is charged or is given to us. Okay, so Spectrum pays that 5% to us. They also pass that 5% charge on to the resident. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. They don't have any teeth in this because it's a pass-through.
Bob, I think that's a correct reading of it. It's a pass-through.
So every town and village has these agreements. Yeah. So I don't know that we have a choice. There's not another service provider of this nature. So I'm looking to move forward on this. Any other board member want to ask a question now before I ask for a motion again?
What is the, remind us, Mary Ann, what the total of that franchise fee looks like? It's $50,000. Is that in that neighborhood? Is that right? If I remember correctly?
That's what we budgeted for franchise tax, yes. And for 2021, what we received, I can pull up. For revenue for 2021. We budgeted 50,000, we got 44,880. So we didn't receive 5,100, but I'd have to go back and look at that. Exactly what, yeah.
I'm willing to make the motion as is.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jim Smith. Any further discussion, comments, or concerns? Okay, so I'm going to take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, so we'll, Heidi will be processing that and getting all that information back to them. Thank you, everybody, on that one. Okay, the next item is non-contract policy. The policy committee will be reviewing what the last policy committee was working on, and we'll be bringing that forward to the board for official action at the February meeting. So I'm just putting that on the radar. Number 3, the local government efficiency grant. We did get official notification, as Lee had said. So the next step would be signing a contract. So since we've already applied, and once that contract comes forward, we'll process that as well. Under new business, the deputy town clerk appointment has already been spoken about. The town of Russell MOU Northwoods Road. Heidi, can you pull that up, please? So this is an annual memorandum of understanding between the town of Canton and the town of Russell for the plowing and maintenance of the Northwoods Road for the amount of $4,500. We've been doing this for years. It's a good agreement. And so, you know, I spoke with Mr. White, and they passed theirs, or they passed this at their last organizational meeting on 1/4. So I need a motion for the town of Canton authorizing me to sign this memorandum of understanding between the town of Canton and town of Russell.
So moved.
Moved by Bob Washam. Second by Bob Sanamore. Was that you? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Heidi, can you take that down?
I didn't know if Stephen was on, so he could explain why we do this.
Is Stephen still on?
Yep, I'm here. Long and short of it is, it's a very long ways from the town line on Pirates Russell Road to get to the other end of the North Woods. It's been a long time since we timed it out and got the mileage on it. I would have to get that again for you, but it's a long trip to go up around there with a plow truck.
It's because it's a bridge that got taken out, isn't it?
Well, the road got closed in between.
Right.
So you have to go up Pirates Russell Road towards Russell and come around the back way. We have a section on the Russell end of it that is still ours, but it's too far to go to maintain it.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Carried. Okay, Justice Court Annual Board Financial Audit. We've received a letter from both Justice Morgan and Justice Foster regarding this audit. It is every year, and then we also received a letter from the State of New York Unified Court System indicating that, you know, the town board, we have to do an annual audit and respond by March 1st. So there is a court committee now. You need to meet with the justices and Mark and go through the process. There is an actual form per se that you fill out going through the process there. So I'm just, I put that on the agenda for the record. And then once you complete that audit, you will report back to the board, and then it has to be voted on to approve it. Okay. All right, shared service agreements. These are agreements between the town and the village of Canton. We have quite a few. So the committee met in December, and they're in the packet, but there are two agreements that we need to send back to committee. That would be the recreation agreement. That's not a final proposal from the committee. And then the next one is the Canton Senior Citizens. I'm sending those both back to the committee for review. But the ones that are set to go are the Office of Assessor. This is an agreement between the town. The town is responsible for 2/3 of the cost, and the village reimburses us for 1/3 of the cost. So that one's for the Office of Assessor.
That's the village. That's the village of Canton. That reimburses.
Yes, these are all villages of Canton. Yes. We have the town constable peace officer. That's another agreement between the town court, the village of Canton, and the town of Canton for police training and that type of thing. So it's an agreement that we will pay for the cost of the training, and then any type of supplies and that type of thing. So there was a slight upgrade to the one from last year that we're responsible for paying for the training of the officers in the village of police department to our constables. Just a friendly reminder, we do have 2 part-time constables on staff, Lester Lasala and Leah Austria. Oh my gosh. Astria? I'm not even saying it right. I apologize.
Alestra.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Alestra. So they do a great job as well. So that's like an agreement between the 3 of us. The next one is an intermunicipal agreement on the municipal building and grounds on who does what and who pays for what. It's a shared cost because it's a shared building ownership between the town and village. The next one is the historian's office. This is a shared cost as well. 50% is paid by we paid, our historian is a town employee, and then we send an invoice to the village for 50% of the costs of the historian's office. And then the last one is, excuse me, there's 2 more. Economic development services. We appropriate $20,000 a year towards the economic development program. And then there's an agreement with between the village and the Canton Town Court in the amount of $1,000 reimbursement for the court does the village transactions as well. So that's $1,000 agreement. And we just invoice the village and get reimbursed for that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 agreements to be passed. There's 2 agreements that I'm recommending we send back to committee. So I need a motion to pass those 6 agreements.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Bob Washoe, seconded by John Tyo. Any further discussion or questions?
I guess I'll just say that the committee was never the intention of the committee for the recreation or the seniors ones to be part of the finished packet. That we knew going in that there was work, there's still work to do on those. And I think the seniors one is going to get folded into the recreation agreement. So we'll really only be dealing with one other agreement.
That would be great. That would be great. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, and thanks to the Shared Services Committee for all that work. Appreciate it. All right. the next item is the St. Lawrence County Hold Harmless Resolution. If you could pull that up, Heidi, please. This is an annual resolution that the county sends us that we need to process. They've asked for it every year, and every year we just sign it. So it is a shared services agreement. It's a holding harmless the County of St. Lawrence and providing service. And it should say on the top for 2022. That needs to be changed. And each year I've always asked them if they would do one for us, but that really never has happened. So this is just a formality. So any questions on this? So it's, what's really nice is that the county and the village of Canton and our highway department, we're all working together really close, and everybody's very supportive of each other. And, I'm sure Stephen can attest to that. So this is a good thing. So I'm going to make a motion that we pass this resolution holding harmless the County of St. Lawrence for providing service for 2022. That's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bob Sanamore. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. This is the time for the board to listen to the public. So if you would like to say something, please just raise your hand, and we'll call on you, identify yourself, and please limit it to 3 minutes so that we can give everybody an opportunity. So I see Lynn Soulier's hand up.
I really just want to say thank you to, and I'm not sure who it was that did all the legwork on this. I know I've kind of been a thorn in a bunch of people's sides this last year or so about this, but thank you so much for finally getting the department reports online so that I can read them and we all can read them ahead of time, because obviously you don't have enough time during these meetings to go through and read every single thing outlined out to us, the public. So it's nice to be able to read it. And thank you very much, Heidi, for getting a hold of me and walking me through the process, for the first time. And it was really nice to be able to read those. And thanks also for getting all the minutes up to date. It's important that we people here be able to read the minutes of the meetings that have been going on if we aren't able to attend, even if we are able to attend. Just if we have some questions that are coming forward for the next meeting, maybe make a comment like I am right now, that we have to have that information to be able to be informed and to be able to make those comments. So thank you very much for getting that done. I know I'm not the only one to ask, but I feel like I've kind of been like right in your face about it. So thanks very much. I appreciate it. And I'll welcome all new members and anybody who's returning, who's been reelected. Welcome to all of you. So, thanks.
Thank you, Lynn. And you are persistent, and we appreciate that. And, the Information and Technologies Committee, we've come a long way in the last 4 years technologically, so thank you for saying thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Marion.
Okay. Any other public comment? Linda?
Yeah.
Casserly.
I'm unmuted, I think. Yes, you can hear me. Well, I also want to thank Lynn Soulier for being such a contributor to the historian's office. She sent me something yesterday that will be in my report for next month. She's always contributing. And I also want to thank Mark McKenna and Megan for getting this launch going, as not just as a historian, but as a community member, because I know a lot of seniors have heard about it and they want to try it out and get in the kayak. So thank you for doing that, Megan. Mark's not on here today, but I appreciate that as a community member. It's not the historian.
You're welcome.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Any other public comment? Heidi, I'm not seeing anyone raising their hand. Are you?
No, I don't see
Okay.
it.
Okay, so having said that, we do need to go into executive session for the following reasons. Collective negotiations. Proposed acquisition of real property and matters pertaining to the employment of a particular person. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
So moved by Bob Washel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bob Stanamore. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, everybody else, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Stay warm and safe out there. Okay, and I'm asking Heidi Smith who will also be joining us in executive session.
Okay, good night.
Okay. All right, good night, everyone.